City of Stevens Point Historic Preservation Design Review Commission meeting, recorded July 29, 2025.
I'd like to call to order the Historic Design Review Commission for July 29th, 2025. Roll call, Adam.
Siebert.
Here.
Monk. Here. Christensen.
Here.
Kalnan.
Here.
Malevsky.
Here.
Finn.
Here.
And Chris. Here. We got a quorum.
Okay, number 2. Report on the June 12th, 2025 historic meeting of the Historic Preservation Design Review Commission. Any comments on the on the report? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to accept. Okay, motion. Mr. Callahan. A second?
I'll second.
Monk. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 3, request from Ken Lewallen, representing Jason Zinser, to install a transom window and cedar shake siding on the principal structure located at 1908 Clark Street. Somebody here to...
Not for this one, but I can give a quick background. So just for context here, so the subject property in question is just kitty corner from Sarah Park, just to the northwest. So the reason for this request is in part due to some interior work that's being planned, and because of that there is a need to replace replace the bathroom window. In terms of having to meet current building code requirements, there is a requirement to shift the exact location of where this proposed bathroom window will be relative to its existing location. So because of that, the dimensions or the window opening from what's existing to what's being proposed is going to be slightly deviated. And so because of that, under a literal application of our design guidelines, the changing of window openings requires review by this approval. And as part of this, the portion of the existing window opening that's now not needed as part of this new window, that's going to be filled in with the same cedar shake siding that you see on the second level of the building. So it's going to be a like-for-like replacement for that. Staff's recommendation is to approve.
How much of a shift is it?
It's not much, just a little bit, I believe, to the north. It's not a crazy amount. I think it may be 18 inches, I thought.
Comments?
I have a comment. And in the proposal here, it says that it will be located slightly above the existing bathroom window. So does that mean it juts into what's called, I looked it up, the belly band? The horizontal, board.
It would slightly, yeah.
Ooh.
Unless there's a way, if there's a concern with that, they could tweak the design of the window trim on the north end of the window so that it is of a similar design and appearance to that belly trim.
Right.
If that's a concern, you could gladly put that as a condition. So tweak the design of the window trim in a way so that belly trim would still retain the same appearance and thickness as what exists right now.
Right, because basically that is the board that defines the top of the window all the way across for all of those windows there. So, and I don't know if that's possible because it's the code business that's been thrown in there. I guess that's kind of my concern. If we're going to look at this, then it seems like that is a design element that it's pushing into.
Yeah, so
pretty strong design element too.
Yeah, it might be hard to see on the TV monitor here, but where my cursor is, kind of the far northern tip of the window, that I don't know what that is, maybe a dark gray colored. If that's going to be extended upwards, you could force that or part of that to retain that kind of yellow shaded color so that it looks like that belly trim, even though it's still part of the window trim.
Right.
That's one option.
Right.
But yeah, if that's
might be an idea.
If that's of interest, then I think it's fair to put that as a condition.
And I think as far as the narrow window there's 3 narrow windows in the front that it kind of mimics. In the front of the house. But obviously this is on the side, it's not on the front of the house, so. If that's a possibility, then perhaps that's a good idea.
You're going to make a motion to that effect?
See, as I looked at it, I was kind of the impression that the bottom of the window was being raised. They were just replacing it with a 3-foot by 12-inch transom window.
Yes, that's
So I
what
don't
I
think
understood.
I don't think the upper.
You don't think that's where it's being, it says
It says will be raised, but I think they're looking at,
the bottom?
yeah.
Okay.
So they'll just maintain the top 12 inch of the existing opening. That's kind of how I interpreted it.
Yeah, I mean, I could double check with the
Yeah.
applicant. My understanding was that even the topmost part of the window was going to be shifted up ever so slightly. It could be a mixture of both, too,
Okay.
so.
Anybody else? Okay. Carol, you want to make a motion to that effect?
I would make a motion that the framing of the window respect that horizontal belly band that is a design element of the house.
Second? Second?
Once, going twice.
No?
You can second.
Well,
Yeah, the alternate.
we don't have the,
All right. The second here?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it's just the voting.
All right. All those with Carol's motion, all those in favor, say aye. Opposed?
I would say aye.
Aye.
So we got I. What
is
is
this?
you three?
Is this the oppose? Is this a,
Well, were you aye or nay? Or
Did both.
or Tim, if
Okay.
you want to start. If you want to start from the top.
Okay, we'll start from the top.
Okay.
This is to respect we call it the belly band,
Right.
to make it at least appear to maintain that belly band. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Thank you. Number 4, a request from St. Stephen's Parish to install a shed on the property located at 1335 Clark Street. Somebody,
I'll give a quick background as to why this is needed to go before you folks, and then I know the two folks in the back are representing St. Stephen, so
Okay.
they can present. Basically, the purpose for why this request has to go before you folks pertains to, one, the installation of an accessory structure would require consideration by this commission, and then the second reason being that its visibility from the street. I believe the specific code section talks about that accessory buildings should be oriented towards the rear of the building. Obviously, this site is a little bit more limited in terms of it not being visible from the street because it abuts streets on all 4 sides, northeast, south, and west. So as part of this request, this would essentially be a variance that this commission would have to consider and approve to allow for a accessory building, not necessarily in the rear yard because of its visibility from the street. So. And just for context, as the gentleman's walking up, so the map on the screen here, the purple dot, I believe, is still the intended location for the shed, correct?
Correct. That's our revised intended position. Initially, we wish to place it in the center of the map where the concrete pad is above the coal bins to the school. But we were told that it was too close to our driveway, so wanting to be a good citizen, that seemed to be the most logical location for it.
excuse me, could we get your name, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Father Jeffrey Hennis. I'm the pastor of St. Stephen's. I've been at the parish since 2018. And then the location where it is, there is a chain link fence with privacy slats there, so that seems to be the most obscure from the road. But yeah, as we do border all 4 streets with the exception of the Church of the Intercession campus, or former Church of the Intercession campus. Trying to place something out of sight lines is a bit of a difficulty. Its purpose is to store gardening tools and a snowblower. So.
Questions for the gentleman?
I belong to the parish, just to let you know.
I know.
So I guess my question about it is, first of all, there's 2 dumpsters there. And I didn't know that because there's a vine on the fence right now. I didn't know that there were slats in the fence. But I guess, so that the one question I had about it is, should the vine not be there, particularly in the winter, that the shed is closer to the street, but there's a house next door. And, you know, I'm thinking of the setback from the street of a building, you know, and the fact that there's a house next door. Oftentimes, when there's another building, it's somewhat in line with the buildings on each side of it. And I don't know if we can call this a building. It's a shed.
It's a prefabricated shed.
Right. So I guess that's kind of a question of mine, whether or not, and plus the fact that Ellis Street is not a historic district. So this is a particular kind of situation.
Yeah, so this is drifting, I guess, a little bit more towards the zoning side of things. So there would be, as the gentleman said, there would be a minimum setback that the structure would need to be from the street. That would be 25 feet.
Okay.
We in the city, we don't have a rule, unlike other communities, that say that basically the front of a detached garage has to be in line with the primary structure on the same lot, or other buildings down the road. We don't have that. You can have that variation from building to building on the same lot. So as long as it's not closer than 25 feet from the street,
So
it would be golden.
that's a setback that it is right now.
Correct.
Okay. So I guess the other question is, what about the dumpsters?
What about it?
Do we have, I mean, is there any, there's 2 dumpsters sitting there, you know. Is there any requirements as far as 2 dumpsters next to the shed?
I mean, there's not a requirement to have dumpsters next to the shed. I mean,
I'm saying.
Are you talking about like screening or?
Right, yeah.
I mean, technically from both our zoning code and our design guidelines there are, but in this case I would consider them being, or this situation to be legal non-conforming. They're grandfathered because the dumpsters are presently there.
Okay. I guess those are.
Would a lot of those rules even pertain to this, because it's not a permanent structure? You can drag it 10 feet either direction if there's a problem with a dumpster, or, I mean, it's a Home Depot or Menards
same idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so this is one of the reasons.
Some of the, if you're building a concrete base and framing a small shed, then that might be different. But I think with something like this, you've got the flexibility of maybe not having to. That's my question to you. Do we have the flexibility of not having to worry about some of the standard rules?
So ultimately, I mean, any request that's brought before you folks, you have the ability to grant deviations from your design guidelines as you see fit. Now, this is kind of a unique request in a way that under a literal application of our design guidelines, it says that basically the architectural appeal of an accessory building has to be compatible with that of the primary structure.
Right, and that was going to be my next question.
And you see that, obviously, we've dealt with that a lot over the years for residential properties, because there's a number of them that request that over the years. For commercial properties, that's not necessarily the case. I can't think of one request we've had over the last number of years for an accessory building, which is not surprising in a way, because most of the commercial buildings are zero lot line development in the downtown, closer towards a square. And so, yeah, a long way of staying under our literal application of our design guidelines. Prefab structures aren't necessarily preferred, but ultimately you folks have the ability to grant deviations as you see fit. It would be fair for you as a commission to grant an exception if you wish.
Because under existing guidelines, they would be using like materials and all of that type of stuff. And
Yeah.
But
For shovels. Sorry.
So, it could be land and stone, and they'd have, no, which wouldn't make any sense. I think we'd all agree on that. Is there any setback required from the sideline, from the fence?
Yeah, so there's 3 feet from the side lot line, plus the structure has to be no closer than 3 feet from any parking stall. Which obviously, I mean, again, this is getting into the semantics of zoning, but yes, there's a few locational requirements.
Okay. And is there a good city official that'll be monitoring that?
Oh, I think I know the right good city official.
All right, just checking.
This is coming from Menards?
Menards, correct.
The reason I question that is we purchased one of those, and within 10 years it was
We hope to not need it within 10 years. Part of the immediate concern is we've been blessed to have an associate pastor assigned to St. Stephen's. My previous associate was Father Todd Milsna, who was legally blind, hence no need for a car. Now I have an associate that gets called to the hospital in the middle of the night just like me, so to be able to afford him parking privileges in the garage is paramount to his ministry, to be able to get to the emergency when it happens, and so that's going to displace some shovels, and this seemed like the most economical, prudent decision to make, and that's why we're here today.
Any further discussion?
No. I think that just because it is not a permanent kind of situation, that, you know, it may well change. We're not building a building. No.
Yeah, I walk my dog on Ellis almost every day, and I don't even think you would even really see this thing past the dumpsters, you know, and the dumpsters are there to dump trash. I have no problem with it.
Anybody else?
No.
Okay. A motion?
I would move approval of some kind from the shed being placed where it's being proposed.
Barry, was that a second?
Sure, that is a second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Did your companion want to say something? Oh, sure. Okay, number 5, a request from Frame Memorial Presbyterian Church of Stevens Point to install roof-mounted solar arrays on the building located at 1300 Main Street.
All right, so I'll give a brief intro, and then if one of you two or both of you wanted to go up to the podium. But really the reason for why this request has to go before you folks is that there's the one design guideline that we've talked about in the past that discusses solar panels and its need to not be visible from the street. Clearly that's a challenge for certain properties here within our city's historic districts. So the request is to install those solar panels on the east-facing roof pitch of Frame Memorial. So again, just context, Main Street would be where my cursor is showing. If you go kind of outward towards here would be Public Square. More towards the bottom end of the screen would be heading towards the post office. One thing I didn't include this in the packet because this is really getting nitty-gritty details of all things state statutes, but in zoning, there are a few instances where a local municipality is restricted in its ability to regulate something, if it's a certain type of development, if it's a certain type of land use. That happens from time to time. There really is a lesser number of those situations as it pertains to historic. However, solar would be one example. I included, just for the sake of having the discussion in a few minutes, the statute is on the screen here. Basically, to summarize it, what it says is that you folks as a commission cannot outright deny a solar request like this. You can't do that. If there's ever during the course of the discussion where you want to place certain conditions on the request, you have to make sure that these 3 standards, A, B, and C, would be met as part of any condition that's applied. If any one of those 3 would not be met, then you cannot legally put that condition onto the request to approve.
Doesn't it just have to meet one of the 3?
says,
Unless the restrictions, yeah.
Sorry, one of the three.
Right.
Thank you. Jumping ahead here.
Is that in here?
I didn't include it on here just more legally than I want to confuse you more than what it helps you out with. So I think that's all, unless Lynn, Kendra, if one of you two wanted to present.
Name, please, first.
Yes. Hi, Kendra Liddicoat, and I'm the co-chair of our green team at Frame Memorial Presbyterian Church. And as you just explained, we're looking to install a solar array on our rooftop. And I think one thing you didn't mention is that our roof is already dark, and the solar panels are also dark, so they would blend in very well. And especially during the summer, it would be quite hard to see them from Main Street. It would be a little easier in the winter when there aren't leaves. But either way, they're as far back as possible, and which is in part because we're trying to avoid the shade from the Associated Bank building across the way. And this is really our only flat expanse of roof where we could install these. And this is important to us as a church because we see it as part of our mission to consider environmental issues. So that's why we'd like to do it. Do you want to add anything?
Questions for the lady? It's not possible to put it on the north side of the building.
No, it wouldn't produce anything, and I...
Just asking.
We could maybe move the sun.
I'm just asking.
Well, and there's no flat roof either.
Right.
That would be the other structural problem.
Nothing. Any others?
No.
Okay. Motion?
I move to accept the request from Frame Memorial Presbyterian Church of Stevens Point to install roof-mounted solar arrays on the building located at 1300 Main Street.
I'll second.
Second.
Look at us for reading the whole thing. Very good.
No problem.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're on number 6, yes. Discussion, economic hardship ordinance. Adam?
Yes. So this, as folks on the commission may recall, was one of the many policy recommendations that was included in the historic preservation plan that you folks in the council ultimately adopted in the latter part of last year. Really, the intention behind an economic hardship ordinance is to provide some opportunities for property owners to seek variances from your commission's design guidelines under the premise of costs and the economic hardship that would ensue by meeting present architectural guidelines. As you folks have probably heard me say in the past, this does not mean, should an ordinance like this be adopted, it does not mean that a building project that's being proposed does not have to meet architectural guidelines. It's just trying to find an alternative design scheme that still maintains architecturally significant features, but is still not going to, it's going to be less cost prohibitive to do so. As you folks, I think there's a few folks on the commission who have talked about this in the past, that there needs to be that balance of making sure that any design requirements are not cost prohibitive, that it prohibits a property owner from maintaining and doing work on their historic building, while also, again, making sure that the architectural requirements in place still are sound nonetheless. So included in the packet is the first draft of the economic hardship ordinance. Really, how this ordinance came to be was looking at other communities in the state who have adopted a similar ordinance. The meat of the ordinance, this would be Section 3C. So the documents that would be required should a property owner seek a variance under the premise of economic hardship. Those were all taken straight from the State Historical Society as the list of recommended materials that they would like applicants to submit under a given request. So, really, looking for feedback. Is there any issues that folks see? Or do you think that this is on the right track going forward?
Is this you would like them to give financial information, or is this we're making them? Subsection C.
Yeah. This would say that it shall include. Okay. The minimum would be the 1 through 8.
Okay. Yeah.
Good question. And obviously, even though these are taken from the State Historical Society, it doesn't mean that you folks can tweak that list as you see fit. Either removing some of these or adding some of these, or adding some additional.
Question, is there anything like, if say someone who actually does have the means to be in accordance with the guidelines, but and maybe looking to go the cheaper route, like falsifies the information or anything like that?
I mean, could somebody reasonably falsify the information that they provide? Yeah, I guess an argument I would say is people could do that for any given request.
Yeah, true.
Unfortunately, there's just the level of trust that's had that an applicant is submitting truthful information to folks.
Well, and if I read this correctly, the information that's asked is all information that would be documented. Real estate taxes, assessed value,
Yeah, I mean,
that would all be.
Financial resources of the owner and/or parties in interest.
yeah, I mean, most of these items are documents that would be coming from, say, a financial institution or some third party that.
Okay.
I mean, I would be shocked if there's a way that you could manipulate the data, but
Okay.
I guess stranger things have happened.
There can be resources and banks in the Virgin Islands. I mean, I mean, we don't have access. I don't know.
I just have a comment. I mean,
Sure.
this was always my concern with the requirements that the HPDR put on particularly homeowners, and obviously I'm one of them that's in the historic district. And some of the requirements earlier on were out of the ballpark as far as I'm concerned, that I should put on wood siding on a house that is clad, has wood siding. I mean, it would, in order to do that for me, it would cost more than probably my house. So I'm glad that we're looking at this, because I think, again, particularly for the houses that are in the historic district, the people that live there do not have huge incomes, and it is one of the nicer areas in Point, which has a lot of traffic, and you really want to maintain that area. Obviously you're looking at somebody trying to put cheap materials on, but I think that, as you're saying, the honesty and the integrity of the people that live there and the houses, I think that they're willing to do what they can to maintain those houses. As far as the downtown properties, I mean, obviously some of those are in a different category, but I think that we have to look at different materials, and I noticed that with the window change, it's a vinyl window that they're putting in, and that had been off the list before. So we're already doing some of those things to modify cost, which I think is a good idea.
I guess my only thought, what brought it to mind for me, is when I was in a previous community and I was on a water and sewer commission, we had a large water and sewer project, and there was a financial hardship clause. We were required that if the water line was going by any property that they were required to connect, unless there was a financial hardship. And the only one that was actually approved, and it met the rural development guidelines, was a urologist who made way more money than but in order to get the water line to his house, they would have had to bring in some special grinding wheel from Iowa that would go through the brownstone, because they lived in an area where the brownstone was about 12 inches under the surface, and to get it deep enough so it wasn't going to freeze and everything else. So they were excused from it. And even though they probably had the financial resources to pay for this all the way from Iowa, it was exorbitant. I mean, I can't even remember what the exact figure was. But I'm not sure that just because you would have the financial means to do it, that you should be required to spend an additional 6 figures to install a water line, for example. And ultimately, this body would always have the right to take those things into consideration. I mean, you could ask for it and see that they do have the resources, but it still just might not be reasonable. I mean, so there's going to be a certain amount of judgment that would have to be utilized in all the different situations. But
well, I think number 6, the amount paid for the property date of purchase. I mean, that you take that in consideration. If it's a, $280,000 home and it's going to cost $600,000 to redo it in cedar, that does not make sense. The board would obviously look at that and.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's got that built-in safeguard.
Kind of, but in this same situation that we dealt with, I mean, it was, I'm sure, a $7-figure home, it was over $1 million home on Lake Superior, and they weren't required just because it was going to be over $100,000 to have it installed. I mean, it's still, and that wasn't, we didn't have the authority where that actually had to be sent off because it was a federal grant that was, or the U.S. Rural Development Grant, but so I mean,
I agree. I just see it as I see it as a good first step. Because
well, I do too. And I like the general concept very much, but I'm not sure.
Not sure the wording.
Somebody has a ton of money that
you penalize them for it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think that there was an issue with siding that came up, which was a house that was on Clark Street, and Cap Services was putting the vinyl siding on. The city or whoever happened to notice they were putting vinyl siding on, stopped it because it was vinyl siding, and then they went to the commission, to the council, and had it overturned, and basically overturned because Cap Services did it. But that's that same issue, that if you didn't have the money, then you could, and Cap Services was doing it, then you could put vinyl siding on.
Right.
But if you had the money to put on at the time wood siding, then perhaps you had to do it, which I'm not, again, I'm not sure that this is a reasonable thing to think about that way.
Yeah, I think a fair, ultimately this would be up to the discretion of the commission, but
Right.
anytime if someone would submit a economic hardship request before you folks, asking for modifications and architectural requirements that they would have to meet. Of course, there's going to be certain design requirements that are, no holds bar. You kind of have to put your foot down. You can't accept little, if any, deviations from what's required. Mm-hmm. There are some, however, where, siding could be one example, maybe paint color could be another example. The window pattern that's being proposed relative to what's existing. Like, there's some give and pull that could occur that seems reasonable. However, obviously there are some some types of requests that, or some projects that there's really not an alternative an alternative that would be reasonable for you folks to approve. It's kind of up to your guys' discretion.
From the way I read it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we're not trying to penalize people, we're trying to help people with this. So and ultimately that's going to help.
Give them some flexibility.
Help the buildings, because what's going to happen, and what originally the thought was when I first came onto the board here was, what's happened in many of the cities is, the rules are you have to put exactly what is there. And in our society today, that means that repair is not going to be done because it cannot be afforded by the people in the home. So if they have to have a certain type of shingle, but that shingle can be a metal shingle that looks exactly like, the shingles that it needs to be replaced, but it's a third of the cost, going to last 60, 70 years rather than 20 years. That's, I think, what this is saying. We have that brought to us where people say, you know what, we really want to keep our home up. We really want to keep the curb appeal. We really want to deal with the guidelines and work with the guidelines. Gives us the opportunity to work with them. Where I don't see it as rich people coming and saying, I just don't want to pay for this.
I think that would be an unusual situation. The one portion that I guess I had a question on was actually the final three items. Are we allowed to have separate criteria for rental properties? Because I know the legislature historically has frowned on rental properties. I mean, there used to be different guidelines, and I know some of them had to be changed because the legislature didn't. Are we under any kind of restriction as far as whether or not we have separate criteria for rental properties?
Yeah, my understanding is that this is still legal and legally enforceable. I know the State Historical Society has a legal division, so that I would have the faith that the legal counsel would have muster? Okay. Yeah, would have reviewed the draft ordinance or the recommended ordinance. So, okay.
Because I know there used to be communities that required rental properties to have inspections every so often, and they said you can do that if you inspect every property. You can't just do it for rental properties that had. So, I mean, the legislature has tried to make things maybe a little easier for landlords, which I'm not sure isn't necessarily the best thing, but whatever. That's why I was wondering where, if it passed their legal department, I guess then I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Any other feedback? Or if not, if there's anything that you folks think of tomorrow, the next few days, weeks, you're obviously more than welcome to shoot me an email too.
Would you run that by
Logan?
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Okay. Staff updates.
All right. So a few of them, since it's been a sort of a hot minute, but not really. Only 5-6 weeks since we last met. So I guess a couple things. Just so happens to be that there's a fair amount of work that's being done in the portion of the city that is technically not under your folks' jurisdiction, but is under the Main Street, Clark Street Historic District, which is on the National Register. Folks have probably seen detached garages being built on the corner property here, so southwest corner of Main Street and Division Street. That was a request that, again, was not needed to be reviewed by you folks since it's not in a local historic district. However, that did go before our Plan Commission and Council maybe a month or two ago or so for approval. Another thing that happened, I think in the latter part of June, did officially get the approval from the State Historical Society for the demolition of the second of the two buildings, kind of where my cursor is being circled. As folks may have recalled in the past, the plan for this area is to demolish these two structures and then move the house located on the northwest corner of Main and Division, relocate that house kind of smack dab in the middle. Because this is in a National Historic District, anytime that there's a property owner who's requesting the demolition of a building, there's a noticing requirement that I have to submit to the state, basically affording them the opportunity, if they wish to deny the request and to basically take photographs and have the ability to go on site as needed, depending on really more of a case-by-case basis. So state did approve the demolition request. Last I heard, I believe it was September, they were planning to physically move the building to the new location. But of course, as you folks may ascertain, moving the existing building requires a lot of procedures to follow, and it's no easy feat. So
is that why did they building? I was just going to say, is the building they're moving have some serious historical?
Yes, the Mullen building, right?
Oh, it's a nice house.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really, well, that's a frat house right now, isn't it not? The blue house?
It's a rental. It's just a student rental.
Well,
It's a rental.
okay,
Yeah.
Is it a
same
frat?
thing, it's being.
No, I haven't seen
Oh, the
your
frat
kids
house
out
you're
there,
talking
so
about?
It's
probably
all,
isn't.
it's all chopped up inside, I would imagine.
Possibly.
Outside is,
Which house?
The Mullen house? It's on
It's-
it's on the
Northwest corner.
northwest
Okay.
corner.
So this.
across the street
I think
from.
They filled in the porch.
I think they were going to lose a significant amount of turn because they want to widen it
Widen
for
the-
the same thing that's happening on my corner. They're taking like 10 feet on the corner of Clark and Division.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So they're
So it's for
The road would have been within about
restructuring
6
the
feet
road.
of the house. Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the reasons, they're saving the house before the construction, okay. All right, because that didn't make too much sense.
So that's going to be a problem then for the one with the garage, isn't it?
No, it's the
Not for this
setback.
one. No, the garage is kind of where my
No, I don't mean
cursor.
for the garage, but for the house. Isn't that going to bring the road real close to the house?
It's just a turning lane, it's not the entire block.
Right, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there's that. Like I said, it's not technically falls within your jurisdiction, but since it falls in a national historic district, it's, I guess, some good food for thought for you folks. Another thing, I sent you a couple weeks ago about the State Historic Preservation Conference down in Baraboo, I think mid-October-ish. Of course, if you want to attend, just let me know, just so I make sure that if there is a quorum of you folks that I properly notice it. Unfortunately, for the commissioners, that's not something that we have a budget for, so it would have to be paid for out of pocket. And the last thing, I just wanted to say, as you folks know, the city has been a member of the Certified Local Government Program. That's a membership organization in all 50 states where communities can obtain that membership. There's an annual reporting process that I have to do typically every January or February. One of the benefits, at least for me, is that it provides a lot of technical assistance for really any given request. There's been some controversial topics that's been presented before this group in the past, and my contact from the state who runs that program assisted myself and you folks indirectly. Certified Local Government Program also funds the yearly grant cycle. If you folks may recall, in the creation of the Historic Preservation Plan, a lot of the larger aspirational projects were intended to utilize the grant dollars from the Certified Local Government Program to fund it. Potential future district nominations being one example. So last I heard, I know there's a lot of tweaking still going on potentially, but last I heard, HR 1 that was signed into law earlier this month, that did include the elimination of the Certified Local Government Program. Like I said, I know there's changes that's being talked about the piece of legislation as a whole, but as of now, that program is eliminated as part of the National Park Service. So I just wanted to let you folks know. Obviously, we're we're not going to discuss the politics of it, but just wanted to let you know, since that's a program that we as a city have been a member of since, I think, late 80s, early 90s. It's been quite the long time, so it's been pretty beneficial for me and for you folks, and obviously a good funding mechanism. So, otherwise, that is all.
Anybody else have a issue, comment?
No, I have no, just a comment. I just noticed today that the Portage County Historical Society received the Reuben Gold Thwaites Trophy, the outstanding historical society in the state of Wisconsin. So I think that's noted, and yeah, thought that was pretty cool. So.
Doing a really good job down there.
Yeah.
And I have to mention that the chairman had brought it up to a point where they could continue on.
Yep, that's for sure.
Yep. Yeah, actually, it's the second time we've gotten it.
Nice.
When was last time?
Well, you're only allowed to get it every 26 years, so it goes back to 1992.
Wow.
It was for the synagogue.
Oh.
Right.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Nice.
Anything else? Okay, we are adjourned, I guess.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.